Now that I have completed the first layer of Pan Pastel in the background, I sprayed the piece with Krylon Matte Fixative 1311 and allowed it to dry. I sped that up with a hairdryer. The next step is to take my detailed line drawing, which I have on acetate paper, and place it on top of the Pan Pastel background. Slip graphite paper underneath like this. And trace over the lines so that I can see the detail. And then what I'm left with is a line drawing now on top of my pastel, which I will use as a guide for my colored pencil. I also wanted to mention that on the top of my board is my printed out photograph, and on the bottom of the board is the piece I'm working on. So I have the photo reference right on top of where I'm working, and I'm also going to pull up the photo in my Kindle. I find that it is so much better to use the Kindle or an iPad or an electronic, whatever monitor, so that you can look at your reference photo. You can get so much more detail than you can by just looking at a photo. Of course, if your aim is to be loose and impressionistic, then you don't need to see all those little details. But I tend to like to see the details. We'll see what happens with this one. I was just comparing my pastel underlayer to the final photograph, and I feel like I had gotten the sky a bit dark. So rather than starting with the colored pencil, I'm going to use a bigger sponge applicator and white and go over some of the sky to lighten it up. In general, the sky in this photo is darker on the left side, fading off to a very light tint on the right side. And so it's really easy to just take the white and lighten this up. I also want to think about trying to cover some of these pencil lines while I'm at it. And it's also a nice little trick when you're doing landscape work to create distance in the background. You see what a sharp edge I have back here between the horizon and the sky. It would be nice to soften that and lighten it to give it more distance. So all I have to do is just go along the edge with white, and then that smudges the top of it and instantly creates depth. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of red iron oxide tint, which is a peachy color. Put that into the cloud at the bottom where we had pink. Picking up white again. white with peach on the sponge. White by itself. There's a slight yellowy tint in some of these clouds. It's very subtle. So I'm picking up yellow ochre tint plus white. I'm putting that in just the selected areas, not over everything. Back to a little bit of gray. This cloud is not showing very well at all. I need to pop it out. And it's a good rule of thumb no matter what kind of art medium you're using. If you're trying to create art and you're feeling like you're not getting light enough and you keep trying to put more white, more white, more white, and it's not getting as light as you want it to, that probably means you don't have enough dark, because without dark, you're not going to have the light. So if you're struggling, thinking, I need this lighter, I need this lighter, try putting some darker color around what you're trying to get lighter, and all of a sudden, it will be lighter. That's a nice trick. And I'm going to go back to some turquoise and white, get some more blue in here. Turquoise by itself, back up in the corner. Now I'm going to take out some Prismacolor colored pencils. I'm using cream and white right now, and I'm going to reinforce those brighter areas in the clouds. The Pan Pastel is very soft, and you can't get really crisp edges with those. So if you're wanting some crisp edges, you'll need to do that with your colored pencils or pastel pencils if you use those. So I'm putting down a little bit of cream first, and then I'm taking white and going on top of that in these really bright areas. It's just little spots of the cloud where the sun's hitting it just right. This little cloud's got a gray shadow. I'm just going to quickly put that in with the Pan Pastel. Still needs a little enhancement of the shadow with this neutral gray. Back to the white pencil. I'm just going over this whole bank of cloud with white. Actually disappears almost to just sky, so I'm going back to turquoise and white Pan Pastel here. Put some of this over it. Back to my gray color. This cloud's doing nothing for me here. I need to do something to make it a little bit more visible. Going into white. And I'm trying to cross over my graphite lines to get rid of them. It's a little struggle getting them covered up, so that's a good lesson in knowing don't press hard with the graphite when you're transferring your pattern, because it's not covering real well, but we'll keep at it. Gonna smooth this out too. A little bit more blue up in the sky to take away that modelly look of the surface beneath the sanded paper. And for now, I think that's going to be it for the sky. We can make an evaluation after we get the rest of the picture done and see if we need to do more.